I've had many requests for Redux Saga, and I can't remember if I've done a tutorial where I walk through adding it to a Create React app from scratch. So I wanted to go ahead and do that again and show you guys how I like to set up Redux Saga. So for this, we're going to need to download Redux and React Redux. Right here, I have a React app. This is just the basic when you just run the command line tool. And so I'm going to pop over here to terminal. This is my project. Here's all the stuff I have in it. And I'm just going to go ahead and say yarn Redux Saga and React. That's all we're going to need. Get rid of some stuff I don't need. Index logo don't need. Test I don't need. App.css I don't need. Alright, so first thing we need to set up Redux Saga. So we're going to create a store.js. Here we're going to import create store from, and we're going to import create middleware from Redux Saga. And if we Saga as example, we're going to just follow along with theirs. So this is where they're creating the Redux store. We're going to paste it in here. So actually I'm just so create store, apply middleware for Redux. That's why we're applying it here. My sagas, this is where we're going to put our sagas, so we can go ahead and call it sagas.js. And then we have reducers. Let's go ahead and create that, reducers. And then we have actions. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a folder called reducers, and then I'm going to create an index file and reducers in there. So get rid of that. Come back here to the store. So we're going to put our reducers in this folder. We're going to have our sagas for Redux Saga, and we basically create our store at it. So we're applying our middleware here, and then we're just going to run on here. I'll go ahead and keep the comment. This looks pretty good. We have our reducers and our sagas just being added to our store. Now this store we need to add to our index over here. This index, here we're just rendering the same, except I'm going to get rid of app.css since I got rid of that. And just going to open up app. Okay, so getting that. And I'm going to make this a default a peer function. So I want to wrap my whole application to be able to use Redux. Now to do that, you need to use the provider. This is coming from React Redux, and pass it is the Redux store that we're going to use. So here import store from store, and then we're going to put our provider here, the store, and then we put in the rest of our application as children to this tag. So our whole application go here. So anything we want to provide Redux with, it should go in between these two tags. I don't know, let's create a new folder file here. We'll call it home.js, which is kind of like our home screen, I suppose. So let's go ahead and run component, and I'm going to import home from home. For now, let's just put a hello world, import React from React, export default. Alright, so we are firstly adding it into, so now home has access to it, but we don't actually have any restrictions and no sagas as of now. So look it up. So here we're just going to import and reducers from and export default, and then we're going to call combine reducers a object. And here's where we put all our reducers that we want. So let's create one reducer. We'll call it old.js and export default. And so this is so my index here, I'm going to import world hello. Should lowercase this. Let's call it hello world. So rename this as well. and then I'm just going to pass. Now we need to fill out our reducer. So reducers take two parameters, which I'm going to set as blank, and then here this is the action, and you can that and grab the type of it. Here we can actually put a reducer. Usually you have it where you say type, and we'll say K, and then for each case. Now we don't have any actions, so we don't know what to put here. So I think I'm just going to say create a hello world. So export hello world, and what we're going to do is just say type, yeah. And the type we're going to put is const hello world. It's your actions like this, where you put the types as that way I can use it here, and I can also reducer over here. Now I can import from up one actions, and I can say hello world. And now for the case, I can say hello world. We can also return state, and here I'm just going to return hello world. Okay, so our reducer here, all it's doing is here. Actually, you know what we'll do is we're going to request hello world, and then we're going to receive hello world. So this is a little thing up with Redux Saga, and I'll show the how I like to call my actions. So we're going to request, and then we're going to receive it. And this will make sense when we get into the sagas. And makes more sense when we actually do an AI, which will be next video. So okay, so request hello world, and this is going to be receive hello world. And then here's the text that we'd like to supply. So alright, hello world here. Grab the text out of this and return. So this is going to be receive hello world. Notice how in our reducer we're not going to request, we're only going to receive. So we have our action here. We can call or hello world, but nothing's going to happen. When we call receive, our reducer over here, it's going to get caught. It's put text into our state, but we are not calling this anymore. And the reason for that is we're going to actually call it from a. So coming over here back to Redux Saga, I'm just going to copy their sagas.js. So copy this into sagas and we're going to set one up. Here I'm going to export default. And here we're not going to do any API in this video, but we're going to import request hello from. So how Redux Saga works is you tell it what you want to listen for, and whenever the action is called. So down here when we say yield, we're saying wait till this act called, and when it is, call this function. And I'm going to say request hello world, and here I'm world. And there I like to use, okay, so there's take latest and take. The difference between these two is, and it probably explains it in this comment, but if I fire two sagas at the same time, if I'm we'll call the function twice if we're saying call once, because they're run at the same time. That comment in, I suppose. Let's get rid of this one though. Here, take latest, we want to call hello world, so we'll call hello. Now, maybe here what we would do is we would call the API, see what we get back with that. So we'll just put API call here. So do API call, and then we can put the type here, which is receive hello world. Which let's import that here. Receive. So yield put. What this does is actually action. That way Redux gets it. So give hello world. I'm going to put text. We'll say hello world from Redux Saga. It's going to be like a little chain, right? So, and we won't worry about the catch for now. We'll do the same thing if we shouldn't error out though. But notice how it's like a little chain. We call it is my saga when we call request hello world. This is going to call this, And then when this is done, what it's going to do is it's going to call receive to our reducer here, and it's going to update the state here, and then the state is updated. We can update our component, get our home component working. Before I do, I wanted to start this server up and make sure there's no errors or that we're missing anything. Next is let's push the code over here. The next thing to function, our home component, we're going to connect this to the Redux core using connect. That way we can get the data and actually can resolve hello world from source reducers. So world, that's right here. Wait, why can't it? Module not found / hello world from source reducers. Oh, just spelled it wrong. World. There we go. Refresh. Cannot resolve home from. Okay. Source home app. Oh, this should be // Our stuff online. Okay. So home. So next, let's connect. So this is going to be the pattern that you'll notice for pretty much all we'll do when we want to run a Saga on a component. An API, but most of the time we use an API. So class home ends react.component. So what you'll do, component will mount. You can use component did mount. It's actually mount since we'll use this instead because it's better. Reason for that is the component will mount. You do know we're gonna mount so render return function is gonna be called once. No much data on component did mount or fetch data on component. So it's better to put on component did mount in case you ever use server-side rendering, because there will be no component did mount. So this is better. It's more of a catch-all, and we'll do it here. You might save a few microseconds of component will mount since that's called before this though. So something to think about. We're gonna go ahead and use this though. That's fine for us. Yeah, let's go ahead and import connect from React Redux, and I'm going to import bind action creators from Redux. This function here just makes it easy to add dispatch to this. So I'm going to export connect, and there's two functions we pass: map state to props, which takes us. We're going to go ahead and say what props we would like. So the prop I'd like to see is hello world. And that's hello world. And tag in here for now, just so it doesn't complain. Okay, the second one is map actions to, I don't know what this is called. I think it's map actions to state. Oh no, map state to props and map dispatch to props. So we get a dispatch, and then here's where we pass in any actions we want. So map dispatch to props. So here we get the dispatch function, and what we're going to do is call bind action creators. Now normally what you would have to do is call dispatch on, but using this you don't have to. So we pass dispatch as a parameter, and we pass any action we want. So request hello world. So request world from React router from actions. Oh, by the way, guys, just thought of something. Actions here, we made a receive hello world, but we're not actually in a Saga, so we should use that instead of just receive hello world. So I'm gonna say yield put receive hello world. This, and by the way, those two are equivalent. Oh, these two statements are equivalent right here. An action that does it for us. Cool. Come back to we're getting this request hello world here. So now what's going to happen is we're going to request hello world, or whenever we request hello world, what's going to happen is it's going to call their state, which this thing gets updated, right? And so map state to props and map dispatch on home. And now I'm going to call this .props request hello. This function will automatically get dispatched because we're creators, and it's in our props because we connected it right here. Good to note this should be an object. So we could give this and then connect is putting in our props. We also have hello world. So I can say this dot props dot. And if we didn't make any errors, what will happen is when the component will map, it just say pop there and say hello world from Redux Saga. So okay, could not find the store in either context or props, either rep the provider or explicitly pass store as a prop. In our app here, we're calling provider, which we pass store to. Could not find in either the context or the props, either wrap with a provider. Oh, we're using a provider, so the documentation for it. This is the documentation for setting or the we just passed the store in, which is what we did. So we're not exporting the store correctly, which we're not. So here, so export default, and so let's see. Given action hello world, reducer returned undefined. Okay, so defined. So let's come over to our hello world and see what's going on. So state, we're returned state here. Given action hello world, to ignore action you must explicitly return. Given the action hello world, reducer world return undefined. So this should be receive hello world. In our action here, yeah, we're requesting. So let's go to we're saying receive, we're passing this in. And this all looks good. I have no idea why that's happening. If I come to my store in my reducer, I'm setting this text equal to null somewhere. So I can set a default value of. We're just spinning here. Infinitely calling itself. So I think it's the saga here. Oh, I know what it is. No, I thought for okay, so for hello world was dispatching something else. So request. I actually don't even know what's going on. Just fine. So request hello world, right? We're listening, dispatching, receive hello world. These are different. Waiting forever. Look, it won't even let me open up Chrome tool. Let's see if there's anything here. If I restart the server. So we obviously did something way wrong. Actions here. Okay, in our home, what are we calling? We're calling. This looks good to me. I actually have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I think it's probably something really small. Let's see. So when this is happening, what I want to do is put some console logs and see what's getting called. I'm going to say console.log hello world saga dispatch. They're not going to yield anything. Now we're not going to do anything here. We should only be requesting. Oh my gosh, that's why. That's why. Because I was being so silly. Alright, we should be good now. This should be request here. And this should, these strings need to match what we have here. Well, they don't need to match, but they need to be different. Close that because it's spinning. Hello from Redux Saga pops up. Excellent. So everything is working. And notice if we go to our home, if nothing shows up. So that this is what's controlling that and calling that chain effect, and this pops here. So in the next video, what I'm going to show you how to do this, and I'll show you how to call an API and render the on the screen. But basically, I hope you can see kind of how it would work. Is we're going to make a request, and it's going to, and in our saga here, we're going to yield kind of, and what we're going to do is we're just going to to finish, and when the API call is finished, we pass the data and it updates, and then we're all good. So yeah, that's this video, guys. Let me know if you had any trouble setting this up in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help. I'll put this template, this little code here on GitHub if you want to check it out. I recommend use as a template and then changing stuff up to your liking. So yeah, thanks for the next video.